Kickoff is about to begin, or our tip-off, I should say, here at the 2026 Tom Konchelski Foundation Luncheon. 5-minute warning, everybody. Please take your seats. We're ready to go. Thank you.
Too loud? Or I'll back off it. Well, it's oh, too loud?
No, it's great. Yeah.
Set to go to begin our opening remarks and presentation. Take your seats at this time. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. I want to thank you so much for taking your seats. So without further ado, in the words of Brent Musburger, no disrespect to Pete Gillen over here, broadcaster extraordinaire as well. Let's give it up for Pete Gillen. But as a kid, I was a Brent Musburger guy, so without further ado, I won't get too sticky, I promise. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking live, Bryant Park, New York City, New York. For those in attendance and the millions watching around the world on Varsity Media and YouTube live as we speak, I'd like to officially welcome all of you to the 2026 6th Annual Tom Konchalski Foundation's Midtown Madness. There you go. This room got way too quiet, but I like the sound of that, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I gotta say, it's an absolute honor to be amongst all of you. I'm a lifelong New Yorker. My name's John Heffernan. I was that guy over at Madison Square Garden for 10 years who was the, if you don't recognize the face, you might recognize this. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Tonight is a presentation of the National Hockey League as the visiting Philadelphia Flyers. Ooh. Take on the New York Rangers. There you go, there you go. I went on to be the stadium announcer for the New York Football Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, but it wasn't until I sunk my teeth into college basketball where things started opening up. And I think this room is such a great indicator of the Tom Konchalski mold that so many of you guys and gals fit. The characters, the administrators, the players, the coaches, the scouts, and all of you who have made this beautiful game what it's meant to me. I was the on-camera host of Inside the Big East on ESPN for 5 years, cultivating relationships with guys like Rorson, even though he was in Manhattan. Barry Rorson, thank you for having me here today. Jay Wright, Rick Pitino, Jim Boeheim, the list goes on. And getting to know more about Gavitt and the conference and was really one of the highlights of my career. So without further ado, I'd like to thank Barry Slice Rorson, the Foundation VP Joe Dunleavy, the Treasurer John Mullally, and of course I wouldn't be here without Mike Saravallo, who's here from the NYPD. Mike, who's also an athlete in his own right, Hall of Famer with the NYPD football team after an illustrious career as a detective. So thank you all for this opportunity today. So I will move on. Want to also talk a little bit about our founding members, or mentioned Rorson and Dunleavy. Slice, really just a great job here today, and what a turnout. Joe Dunleavy, the Vice President. Joe, where are you? Oh, Joe, right here. Don't get up yet, Joe. I need you. You're my right-hand man. John Mullally, the Treasurer, everybody. John Cohan, Secretary. Greg Shemitz, and the founding board of directors, Ed Hall, Mike McCleary, Dennis O'Donnell, Jason Curry, Matthew Kenny, Dr. Rich Petriccioni, and Michael Weinstein from the Bryant Park Grill, everybody. Our big sponsor here today. Michael, without you, today's not possible. So thank you very, very much. I want to say a couple of quick words about the legend himself, Tom Konchalski. We've all heard the stories, and there's going to be a lot of speakers up here today that could never do the justice that I'm about to try to do with Tom. My dad graduated from Villanova. Tom was a Fordham guy, a lot of family members at Fordham University for generations in my family. I grew up in Larchmont, New York, a lifelong parishioner at St. Augustine's, now living in Woodlawn in the Bronx. But Tom was always this mythical figure to me, and I'd hear names and whispers in the halls and the bowels of the garden, and it was like a unicorn. I never really got to meet the guy, so I feel like it's a full circle moment, and I'm really excited to hear more from others here today to talk about this incredible man. And Joey D tells me he's really was a living saint and should be canonized, and a tireless scout, publisher, so many things that he did that we're going to hear about today. We have awards to give out today, esteemed guests, speakers, a great lunch, and that's about enough out of me. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut from here on out, and try to steer the ship as best I can. We got the live stream going. Afterwards, we're gonna have some Q&A with the live stream, and if you want to give a shout out to Tom Konchalski in his memory, please do so. They will be archived for viewing later. So without further ado, at this time, I'm going to ask all of you to please rise if you are able, and we are going to introduce, he's a Notre Dame graduate, the assistant varsity baseball coach, longtime Cardinal Hayes High School guy. Let's give it up for Brother Bill Sherbig.
Did I say that right?
Sherlock,
Tell me.
there you go. Sherlock, Brother Sherlock, I'm sorry. Take it away, Brother Bill.
And use this mic.
Use this one.
This is the one right here.
Oh. I wish my students clapped for me like that. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. In the midst of so much madness and march on and off the court, we come to pray. And I direct this prayer especially to the student athletes. Lord, from on high, you look down on each student athlete. You look at them with friendly, penetrating gaze. Tom looked at students with that same gaze, with intention, focus, interest, respect. Thank you, Lord, for paying attention to each of us the way Tom did. Lord, you listen to us whenever we call. Tom listened to every student athlete. He never forgot a detail. He absorbed every nuance, like you, O Lord. He heard not only with his ears, but with his heart and mind. Lord, you know each of us personally. You never play zone. It's always one-on-one, God man on man. Tom encountered each of us the same way. That endless, emphatic, prolonged, never-ending handshake began and ended every conversation. It spoke, Lord, with more eloquence than the expert advice and encouragement that got sandwiched in between. Lord, you're all loving and you're all forgiving. Tom scouted every student athlete like you would. Never a bad word. Like you, Lord, he always saw the potential, the good, and he pointed us to be the very best version of ourselves. Lord, thank you for every student athlete that has come our way, that comes our way today and will come our way in the future. May we greet them and see them and listen to them and coach them the way Tom would have done, the way you, Lord, would have done. Lord, bless the Tom Konchalski Foundation. St. Thomas, pray for us. St. Sebastian, pray for us. St. Thomas Aquinas, pray for us. St. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, pray for us. And he would hate me for saying it, but St. Tom Konchalski, pray for us. Bless us, O Lord, in these your gifts, which you're about to receive from your bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Cardinal Hayes, that was Brother Bill. Brother Bill, thank you very, very much for those beautiful words. A great way to start off today's event. So folks, just so you know, we're gonna be eating probably somewhere around in about 20, 25 minutes. The event's gonna be closing at 2, but we have a lot to get to, and we're gonna quickly start to move through some of the very important elements of our run of show today. So without further ado, I keep saying that, but we're gonna keep it moving. Right now, on behalf of Tom's brother, Steve Konchalski has a message to pass along from Canada, one of the all-time winningest collegiate coaches in Canada, I might add. That's Steve Konchalski. Here now to speak on Tom and Steve's behalf, the Vice President of the Tom Konchowski Foundation and one of the founding members. He met Tom, I believe, when you were third grade. Tom ended up coaching you as well, a lifelong mentor, and also a guy that I just know is very near and dear to your heart. Folks, let's give it up for the Vice President of the Tom Konchowski Foundation, Mr. Joe Dunleavy.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here. Steve Konchowski is the president of the Tom Konchowski Foundation, and Steve resides in Canada, and he was not able to make it down today, but he did want us to read this message, so I'm speaking in Steve's words now. Welcome to everyone to the Tom Konchowski 4th annual, I think it's 6th though, 6th annual Midtown Madness Brunch, generously sponsored again by Michael Weinstein, who's right here. Just as our foundation has grown, the event has gotten bigger and better each year, becoming a celebration not only of my brother and how he lived his life, but a celebration of the game of basketball itself. And I think that's why everyone is here, to help support the initiatives that help keep Tom's legacy alive. Thanks for your support and the support of others who have been able to expand our outreach to more young boys and girls each year through scholarships, summer leagues, summer camps, and training sessions throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. Wherever a new initiative is presented to the board, the criteria, I've always fallen back on this one idea. Would Tom want this to represent what he stood for? Thank you for attending today's event and your support of the foundation. Enjoy your friendships that the game of basketball has fostered and that has brought us here together today in Tom's name. His spirit is alive in every conversation and, of course, with every handshake that Tom gave to you guys and never let go. It was a 15-minute handshake, but worth the 15 minutes. Thank you all. Let's have a blast. Okay.
Joe Dunleavy, everybody. Moving right along, we're going to get into our first recipient of the day, and this is the Malloy Scholars and Families. And at this time, I'd like to welcome the head coach of Archbishop Malloy basketball, Mr. Mike McCleary, everybody. Mike, come on up here.
Morning, everybody, and welcome. We appreciate that you came out and supported the Tom Konchowski Foundation. As I can say, I am extremely honored to be the person who came on after Coach Curran and the great Coach Curran. So I'm very grateful for that honor. I'm also grateful to be part of the Tom Konchowski Foundation, to work with these great men, led by John Coleman and Steve Konchowski. But working with these men has been a complete honor. I'd also like to introduce Matt Rosati. Matt Rosati is from our alumni office at Malloy, and he's representing our president, Richard Carson, who couldn't be here today, because Malloy is a sponsor of the foundation, as well as being a recipient of the scholarships. The 2 young men that are here today that are recipients of the scholarships, Andrew Kosmoulis and Anthony T.J. Elor. Okay. And they are joined by their parents as well. So if we could give a big welcome to them as well. They are terrific young men, and that's a great reflection, and absolutely the case because of their parents. We at Malloy are very grateful for the scholarship that is provided, and certainly try to pick students who would emulate the values that Tom wants and portrayed. Tom, as a graduate of school, had a great love from Archbishop Malloy High School, and right before he passed away, he wanted to make sure that there was a scholarship set aside. He dedicated money from his own, and he wasn't a rich man, from his own account to start a Jack Curran scholarship, which he tasked me to do, and I did. And that is, current fund is currently in place at Malloy with the starting of Tom Konchowski doing that. To honor Tom and the foundation and help support it, we have started the Tom Konchowski Classic at Malloy, a high school basketball tournament that is the first weekend in December. Started out as 4 teams and just certain matchups, and now it's turned into 9 games over 2 days. A PSAL versus Catholic High School, kind of a challenge. Every year we kind of try to find the best matchups to try to get represent the city the way Tom represented the city as far as getting people to recognize the athletes that came out of the city. So fortunately, the Classic has been able to produce a little bit of income to support the foundation, and we're looking to make that bigger and better every single year with hopes of next year being a lot bigger than that. Tom had a lot of love for Malloy, and a lot of people think that it translated into his ratings, that the Malloy players got higher ratings than they deserved, okay? I don't believe that. I believe everyone got exactly what they deserved, a little jealousy going on, but the reality of it is that he, he absolutely believed that the students at Malloy, going to a place like Malloy was a great thing for them. It's a great school. He was honored to be taught by the Maris brothers, and his respect and friendship with Coach Curran was something that he cherished. And we cherish his friendship and the foundation's generosity to us. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's hear from Mike McCleary. Great job, Mike, and we really appreciate all of your continued hard work. Mike, you know, I was announcing for Pat Massaroni, the Crusader Classic at the Westchester County Center, a little Iona Prep. Stepanak, I mean, you talk about a professional team. A couple of guys going to USC, the Twins, and Michigan State commit there as well. So high school basketball and the Catholic leagues continue to thrive. That's just my little humble brag. Let's move it along, everybody. Talking a little bit more about our summer program. The founder of the Riverdale Summer League. Give it up for Turks Gumsderry, everybody. Turks, where are you? Turks. Turks, all business, all business.
Which one? This one? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Turk Gumsderry. I'm the founder and director of the Tom Konchowski Summer League, formerly known as the Riverdale Summer League. Just to give you a little background about the league, about 6 years ago, we started a league. We wanted to make it competitive with all legitimate high school teams, no AAU, none of that, just high school teams, actual teams with actual players that attend the school with their coaching staff, and we wanted to mix it up a little bit and have like Catholic high schools play the public schools, similar to what the gentleman before me was talking about, and we achieved that goal. So right now, we're in our 6th year. Last summer, we had 16 teams serving over 250, 260 players all summer long from July till the end of August. We've had teams that come through or have been mainstays in the league for the last 6 years, all the best in the city. And it's a great league. It's very competitive. It's a venue where you get the Catholic school kids and the public school kids. In a normal realm, they would never play against each other in a team format. And we've achieved that. And what we do is, you know, we keep it real professional. There's no riffraff. It's a super safe environment. And, you know, we basically, you know, we instill the integrity and all the beliefs that Tom had and believed in deeply into our, you know, we integrated into our players and into the teams and into the league as a whole. And we've had many state champions, city champions in all areas come to the league and currently play with us. But I just wanted to introduce one thing. Last year's winners was the Gil St. Bernard high school team out of New Jersey that won the league. You guys beat Stepanak. And I just wanted to introduce you to the two gentlemen, terrific players who this year, they were the champions of the state of New Jersey. They won all of New Jersey. So this is, so it kind of shows you the level of competition that's in the league. You know, so we have legitimate teams that compete, go all out, and you know, and it's a great venue for coaches to come in, try new things with new players or younger players, develop their players, because that's what we're looking for, to develop players and have these teams ready for their regular season. And I think I spoke too much. This is Jamal and Prosper. They represent Gil St. Bernard High School. They're going to have 1 minute to talk about the league.
Hey guys, my name is Jamal Dixon. I played in the summer league. I think it was a great league to showcase your skills and play against good competition, especially coming out of New Jersey. We don't ever play teams in New York City, and it's definitely a great feeling. Like, I used to play for the New York Gauchos, and it kind of shows like the grit that it takes to play in New York City, especially with the defense and the offense. And yeah, so I think it's a great league. We just came off a 24-game win streak and state champs, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you guys.
Hi parents, hi coaches. My name is Prosper, came from Cameroon. I'm really honored to be here. It's beautiful to see how faith and basketball can produce a beautiful result at this foundation. The first thing that I want to point is the fact that we won the state championship this year, 24 victory in a row. That lead us to that state championship is not something easy to do. And what I believe about the tournament in the summer is the fact that the tournament really gave us the skills that we needed, because as an outdoor tournament, we can think, it might be easy or it's not too convenient, but the competition that we faced there were real. I can really tell that. And that the skills that we succeed to have in that tournament lead us for that championship. I believe that. So I believe it's a great tournament. I can invite everybody, and I advise it to anybody. So I really appreciate the tournament. I say thank you to Coach Phil for that tournament that helped us to the championship. Thank you.
I hope Barry doesn't get mad, but I'm going to turn into a lounge singer now, Barry. I can't let these guys go without a quick follow-up here. First of all, Prosper, a very fitting name, beautiful words, and in the honor of Tom Konchowski, I love how you brought faith into your eloquent words here today. Tell me a little bit about your experience here in America, and maybe one highlight, what position did you play, and one game highlight which you'll take in keeping your memory bank.
I would say here my experience was amazing. I have a great coach, Coach Sina, the best coach that I met so far. Coach Sina is really great. And he gave me a lot of skills. I had to learn a lot of new things coming from Africa. The game is a lot different, I would say. So he helped me there, and I have a great teammate like Jamal Dixon and the other guys that are not here today. And about one of the game, I would say Brokers Prep against Gil St. Bernard at Gil St. Bernard. Yeah, that was a fun game to play, really close game. But lucky we survived. But the great team that we have, and we stayed together. We had ups and downs. It wasn't easy, but we succeeded and we won that game. So that was a really great game that I remember.
Prosper Sokua, everybody, and just tell us quickly, Jamal, what are you doing now? Where are you, and what's next for you? Come on over here. I don't have too much cord here.
I'm just having a good time. AAU season's coming.
Are you a student or?
I'm a student.
Where are you a student?
A&B.
Okay, nice. So just the future for you, basketball-wise, and everything else.
I'm looking to play at any level in college, Division I, Division II, Division III, doesn't matter. As long as I'm getting an education, the ball's gonna stop dribbling at one point, so it's imperative that I get education. So.
Did you see the viral video from the kid from Howard who said the ball one day is gonna stop dribbling, and he talked all about the relationships from the guys that came before him, and I felt a little bit of that from both of you here tonight. Thanks so much for being here. Prosper, great job. Kurt Stungsary, everybody. And really just a great example of what this foundation continues to do, providing so much outreach resources and the continued legacy of Tom Konchowski. Great job, everybody. Let's move it along. Don't worry, the food's coming. The food's coming, I promise. So many, I don't know, I feel like I could just go around the room, Joe, and just start talking to all these different who's who of people. What's going on? Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna finally get a break, Joe. Okay, coming up next, the treasurer of the Tom Konchalski Foundation will be introduced by Mr. Joe Dunleavy. Joe.
Thanks. Where's John? John Mullally, where are you, bud? Stand up. Come on. Come on. There's our treasurer. And this segment was set up so that we could just tell you a little bit about what we do with summer camps. And I'm much closer to the mic than John is. So, John, I'll do this. Okay? You're off the hook, and I'm on. We, as well as sponsoring the Summer League, we have programs in place to send many young men to summer camps. Such camps as Archbishop Malloy has a summer camp, and they'll help us and sponsor some children, some boys. Xavier High School, coaches offered some spots there and allow us to send there. Boys to camp there. The Hoop Group, Bob Hurley camp as well, are just some of the camps that our crew will offer to young men that maybe would not be able to afford to go to camp otherwise, okay? And that's, again, what would Tom do? That's exactly what Tom would do and exactly what Tom would want. I, as a young man, didn't have the money to go to Jack Kern's camp one year, and Tom, as only Tom could, asked Mr. Kern if he could work the week of camp but not get paid. And rather than pay him, let me go to camp for free. So when I say I'm the luckiest man, in the room, having known Tom from the 3rd grade on, I am. And he was that special. So we're trying to keep his legacy going. And those offering these camp slots are doing just that. And I just wanted to do that. And I made that decision to say that on the fly. It's not on my script. But I do know that it's time now to probably have lunch. So it's good potato, good meat. It's getting late. Let's eat. Thank you all.
All right, so folks, that concludes the first half. We've got our award recipients coming up, lots of VIPs, lots of special guests. Let's start in the back corner. Oh no, actually, should we start here? Because the plates are here. What do you think, Joe? This corner or the far corner? Okay, just, I don't want to cause a traffic jam, so maybe start with these guys. The plates there, buffet style, and again, thanks to Mike Weinstein for putting this affair together. And to the incredible staff here at the Bryant Park Grill, we thank you for all of your help. And enjoy, everybody. We're going to restart things in about 20 minutes. So enjoy this little intermission, as it were, and grab something to eat. We'll be back shortly.
Let him get set first. Take your time.
I'll get a little bit more involved.
While you're interviewing him, who else you want me to grab? Who else would you like? So I can get them set while you do this.
Whoever the chairman or spokesman, and then maybe Slice.
Okay, I bet.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? All right.
You gotta go into this camera.
Yeah. Testing 1 2. Let me know. Can you hear me?
You remember Marco Carroll? Syracuse played Christ the King.
No.
Oh, what's up, brother? Glenn Hardy.
Nice to meet you, man.
Glenn played at Lincoln High School. I coached him there. Doing a great podcast. Toma,
He said,
Christ
"Yeah."
the King legend.
Oh, let's
Christ the King
make it
legend.
happen. Let's make it happen, man.
Pitt legend. Most winningest player in the history of Pitt basketball.
Wow.
Most games, Pitt. Think about that.
So before we get out of here,
I know it's
I'm-
accurate. I'm talking
no,
One of the most games. Think about that. Pete.
no, that's
From CK,
right.
when with Barry Slice Ross in the Pit, most winningest player in Pitt history. That's strong. That's strong, bro.
Put your name and number.
That's pretty strong, man.
They was in talks trying to give
Put your full name and everything too.
there was in talks. I thought Bueno was supposed to get the job. They gave us something over here.
How we looking, Fa?
I would love to.
We good? All right. Soon I get this, we can start.
I'm going out there next week.
Me too, man. I need to play. Well, where you going to be?
I'm going to be staying Midtown. Miami.
Oh,
I'm going to be training out there because a lot of my clients go out there during spring break. So we're all going skiing this week. And then we're all going out there the second week vacation. And after training for that. So
my team is playing in a place called Wilmington. We got an AAU team called Wilmington. I know you heard this high school town in Christian. They won the state championship. That was down to America. Anyway, I'm close to the 16-year time.
All right. Nice to meet you, man. Hey, stick around, man. I may want to get you in here. Maybe want to get you in here real quick. All right. Welcome to Varsity Media / Basketball Heads. And this, let's get this again. All right. Welcome to Varsity Media in conjunction with Basketball Heads. We're doing some interviews for New York City legendary scout, person, humanitarian, and man himself, Mr. Tom Konchowski. I'm here with Coach Greg Vitrone. Everybody know him as Shoes. Hey, Coach, what does the Tom Konchowski Foundation mean and the man as we celebrate him today? What he means to you?
Well, Tom and I had a special relationship. A lot of people don't know this, but before my mom passed and his Aunt Jean passed, when Tom would go to 5-star in scouting, my mom would go into Tom's house and stay there and watch Aunt Jean. So Tom and I have had a very special relationship. I was a CYO kid, so he watched me, and it was very special. I played at CW Post. Tom was there for my first game and for my senior night. So, I mean, there's not a human being on this world that means more to basketball and more to just bringing young men and being a mentor. He's the greatest, was the greatest.
What was it like for him to show up in the gym? Like, how would the layup line change when God noticed Mr. Konchowski up in the stands with his pad?
Oh, no. When Tom was in the gym, every kid put their game to the next level because they knew he was going to give you a fair evaluation and you better bring your A game. The one great thing about Tom, though, he would always go watch guys play once or twice or 3 times. He would always give them a fair shake of what was happening. That was the greatest thing about Tom. He had his calendar for the whole year made in June, and he was 365 days a year, Pooh. He'd be out there watching kids play.
For guys like myself who, doing a lot of scouting and evaluating now, what kind of advice do you think Tom would give me in doing the job that he's done for so many years?
I think Tom would tell you to be thorough, to go watch him, but I think the best advice he would give you, learn as much as you can about the player. Tom knew their birthdays, he knew their parents, he knew their brothers, how many siblings, and never forgot it. When he met you 5 years later, oh, how's your sister doing, Pooh? He got so personal and so embedded in the families that he evaluated, and I think that's what made it real special.
It's crazy that you say that because Coach Haskins, who's my mentor, one of my mentors, he has a recording from Mr. Kachowski that he left for him about his daughter's birthday. And I thought that was incredible.
That's who Tom was. That's the type of person he was. He came to my son's last senior game when he played in high school, came to my family christenings. He's just a special person. I mean, I wouldn't be in coaching if it wasn't for him, to be real honest. He taught me a lot about the business.
Y'all heard it here first. Coach Greg Catrone, Tom Kachowski Foundation. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
No doubt, no doubt. Who's next? Who's next?
Ed.
So soon after they take the picture.
1 minute, just a quick.
How you doing, Ed? How you doing?
Ed
All right?
Hall, how are
yes, yes, Glenn Harding. Soon they finish, we're gonna
yeah.
do it next.
People all around the world.
All right, we're back. Mr. Ed Hall, Board of Directors, Tom Kachowski Foundation.
Yes, I was with Tom in 1972.
Wow.
I've known him. I knew him 49 years before he passed. I was so pleased to join the board of directors when Joe Dunleavy and others asked me to be a part of it. And this is my first year here because I live in Florida, so I came up for this particular year. This is terrific. And just it's the spirit of the game, honoring the spirit of the game.
Yes, he was such a great man and done a lot for so many people here in the city and around the country. But let's talk about the foundation and why things like this is so important for us to remember the legacy of Mr. Kachowski.
Well, I was sitting with Pete Gillen just a few minutes ago, and we were talking about the honorees, the people that we're going to recognize tonight, and he made a great point that we're honoring the people who should be honored, the people who lived New York City basketball, or East Coast basketball, and do things the right way. And of course, we all know Tom's reputation is he always did things the right way.
Listen, he had such an impact on my life, changed the direction of so many. You have so many coaches here and so many people here celebrating his life, and you coming from Florida. When you was coming up here, what were some of the things you wanted to get out of coming to this Brunson today?
Well, renew old friendships. All of my interaction with the board is on Zoom meetings, so I don't get to see them on a regular basis. Most of them are New York City folks. So it's just terrific they do the groundwork. I'm supportive of what they do. And I know, the summer league and the tournament over at Malloy High School, and we send kids to camps and things like that. They do all the groundwork, but I'm just so proud to be part of the support system behind things, behind the curtains a little bit.
Well, listen, you are so important to a lot of things that's happening. We're glad to have your support. We appreciate you, Mr. Hall. Keep doing a wonderful job.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Mr. Ed Hall. Yeah. How you doing, Coach P?
Nice to see you, Glenn.
Coach Gilliam, good. How you doing? I'm doing well. All right, we back with another legend, Coach Pete Gilliam. How you doing?
Good, doing well, Glenn. Nice to be with you today.
Oh, this is awesome. I know my coach Hartstein will be very, very proud that I'm sitting here interviewing you with you today.
Yeah.
Me being a Lincoln guy. What is some of the things that you do for the Tom Kachowski Foundation?
Well, I just try to, once in a while, contribute some money, you know, try to help out a little bit and try to recommend other people what a great foundation it is to help young boys and girls, you know, to get, go to camp or to get a partial scholarship or try to help them out. That's what Tom was all about. He helped so many people. He was so generous, so giving. So this is trying to continue his legacy, what he did for so many people.
When kids like myself and other people hear about Tom Kachowski showing up and we see him in the gym, right? His impact on us all. How did that resonate with you guys, you know, being coaches?
Well, once again, you know, he was important. He was a scout. He helped recommend players to other colleges or universities, and he was great. So he was well respected, and he was so much character and integrity and honesty. He wouldn't push a young man to a place that wouldn't fit for him, maybe it's over his head. So he was great that way, and you know, just a wonderful person. He helped he helped people in my life. He helped recommend me to go to Notre Dame as an assistant basketball coach. Wow. I was assistant at Villanova, and Notre Dame had an opening. I didn't even know it was an opening. Tom talked to Digger Phelps. I'm sure Digger, the head coach of Notre Dame, I'm sure Digger talked to other people, but Tom recommended me to go to Notre Dame. That's how I got the job at Notre Dame. And I was at Notre Dame for 5 years with Digger Phelps, helped me get a college job at Xavier, and was coaching for 30 years. So Tom helped an unbelievable amount of people, and I'm one of them.
We said we were both of us. We could both say that. For a guy like myself that's trying to, you know, not kind of step into his shoes, but kind of help fill a void that's missing right now for these young kids in New York City. Do you have any advice for myself?
No, I think just when they have these different tournaments, you know, these tryouts that they have with the Catholic League or the Public League, you know, go to that, you watch it, and you see a young man that looks like a pretty good player, find out a little bit about him, you know, and try to say, all right, I know this young man, they can play at a Division II or Division III. So I think you're doing your homework, watching kids play at these tournaments and stuff, and pick out one or two, find out about him, you know what I mean, his character and everything. You know, doing your homework, I think you'll be able to find to help somebody. That's what life's all about. Throw some bread back on the pond to help somebody else be successful.
Well, I think that's what we're here all trying to do right now, trying to just help continue the legacy of Mr. Kachowski and just, you know, preserve his foundation and all the things that he did throughout his life. So I want to say thank you, and we appreciate you for doing the things you're doing.
Thank you, Glenn. Nice being with you.
All right. Take care. Okay. All right. Coach Pete Gilliam, we're about to sign off. This is Glenn Poole Harding, Varsity Media, in conjunction with Basketball Heads, Tom Kachowski Foundation. A great man, a great individual. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
afternoon. Just ask for your attention, please, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your delicious Bryant Park Grill spread. Great job, all of our Bryant Park staff people. Let's give them a little round of applause. All right, all right, all right. Channeling my inner Matthew McConaughey. Let's move it along, everybody. Picking up where we left off. We got to bring up Joey D one more time to talk a little bit about the Appreciation Awards, fundraising, and such. Vice President of the Tom Konchowski Foundation, Joe Dunleavy.
All right. Yes. How do you do this down? Anybody have these? We got a phone book I can stand on here? Here we go. All right. Our first recipient of our Appreciation Award is a member of our board. This man met Tom Konchowski at Coach Stu Aberdeen's basketball camp in 1971. They've been close friends ever since. He's gone on to coaching college, coaching high school now. He now runs a very successful program in Florida. Longtime friend of Tom's, longtime founder of of our foundation, and he has been just influential in all the decisions that we've made on this board as it relates to the foundation. In appreciation, we have a small token of appreciation for Coach Ed Hall. Ed, come on up here. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa. John, I just stole your son. You want to say anything? Okay, here we go. Folks, just one bit of information here. As you know, if you knew Tom Konchowski, he went everywhere with his case, his portfolio. Portfolio held all of the 11,800 pages of handwritten notes. They all started on a pad like this. As a close friend, we made it sure that Ed got one with Tom's initials on it, reminding him that Tom's around and with him all the time. So on that note, congratulations, Ed. And thank you all. All right, here we go. Our next appreciation award. Without our next recipient, we would not be here today at all. He's actually over there getting something to eat. It's great food. But we wanted to show our sign of appreciation to Mr. Weinstein. We've got a simple gift for him. It's a bag with his initials on it. And we want to thank Michael Weinstein for allowing us to be here.
So, great job, everybody. Of course, that's the owner of the Bryant Park Grill, Mr. Michael Weinstein. And, I wanted to ask Joe D, do any original copies of the HSBI report exist? Who has the largest collection, and where can I get one? Okay, so you are the historian of record. Tell us a little bit about that, because you could be making millions on eBay if you start selling these things. I want one framed in my man cave. which I don't have yet.
Folks, the only successful sentence you can put me in with history, because I was terrible in school, so I was not a good history student, is the fact that I have all of Tom's history in my garage. All 11,085 pages of his handwritten notes are stored, and every one of his existing HSBI reports that he had still available when Tom passed away, we kept copies, and I have those sitting in storage in a safe place. It's not anywhere near the floor, and they'll be good, but I do have all of Tom's, so yes, I can get you one.
Okay.
I'd be happy to.
I'm holding
and
you
Tom
to
would
it.
be happy that you had it, and I'm talking way too much, so there we go. Okay, guys.
All right.
And for some of the younger folks, you know, Tom never owned a computer, no cell phone, and he would literally, with an old school typewriter, crank this thing out that some of the most powerful names in all of basketball relied on at least once a month up until Tom stopped publishing. I think, what was it, Joe, around 2022? Anyway, let's move on. And Barry, good stuff for you to bring up in your Scout and Scholar documentary coming up. We could get some original copies, right? And incorporate that. I want to hear a little bit more about that later, if I don't want to even put you on the spot. After the awards, is it a deal? You can come up, tell us? Okay. That's Barry Slice Rorson, folks. Okay, moving on, everybody. Hey, man, we got the former Iona University athletic director. I think he's going to come up here. Richie Pett is in the house. And Rich Petriccioni, everybody. He's going to talk about our Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Drum roll, please. Rich Petriccioni.
This is the one that works. Thanks very much. Before I introduce our Lifetime Achievement Award winner, on behalf of the board and the development committee of the board, this is our biggest fundraiser of the year, obviously, our main fundraiser. And I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that's here. Just the fact that you're here says so much about you, that we feel like we know you because you're here. You're here to celebrate Tom and his legacy of integrity and values of the game. You're here because it's March Madness. You're here for basketball. You're here to honor some of these terrific legends that we honor, and some of our past honorees that are here, including Coach Gillen. We do need your support, though. We need you to come to this event every year. And when you get an email from John Coleman or you get a letter from Steve Konchowski that asks you to support our Tom Konchowski Foundation, you usually will get 1 or 2 emails a year asking for support. You'll get a lovely letter around Christmas time. And if you don't get them, please go to the website, the Tom Konchowski Foundation. Make sure that your proper information is in there. And if you can, think about a donation. Think about an annual gift. Think about an estate gift. Think about appreciated stock. Think about IRA distributions. It's a 501c3 that does a really terrific job, and we need your help. The fact that you're here, though, just like they do at church, I know I'm preaching to the choir. The fact that you're here is, again, we appreciate it so much, but you do have to understand that the only way something like this moves forward, grows, and takes on momentum is with your support. So thank you very much for that. It's a fitting honor that we give a Lifetime Achievement Award to our next recipient, and not necessarily because he was a grammar school and a high school basketball coach for over 50 years, 586 wins, 3 CHSAA championships, guys that went and played in the pros, guys that went and won national championships. His career at Cardinal Hayes High School, and before that Stepinac and St. Barnabas, is legendary. Literally, he's a legend. What's cool about Mr. Tom Murray, though, is that Mr. Murray could also be a winner of the Values of the Game Award. He could also be a winner of the Spirit of the Games Award. I've had the pleasure and the privilege of knowing Tom Murray for over 50 years. I was a Cardinal Hayes high school graduate, and like many people and some in the room, got started by Mr. Murray. In my case, it was, hey, Pet, you're not good enough to be on the team, but would you take the clipboard and help us out? That started my career a long time ago, and it worked out pretty well for me. But what is more impressive, and why Mr. Murray is so fitting for this, is because of the kind of Catholic gentleman that he is, and that we know Tom Konchowski was. They were very similar in being daily communicants, in understanding that we're here for a reason. We're here to help kids. We're here to support our families. With his wife Mary and his 2 daughters and his sons and his grandchildren, he really is the epitome of what you want a high school coach to be. He's just one of the finest people that any of us have ever had the chance to get to know. And whether it was Cardinal Hayes or John V. Maricamp or these last years that he's been retired, he stays in touch with literally hundreds and hundreds of people. He's omnipresent in Woodlawn, and his legacy at Hayes as a winning coach, and then as somebody who did it the right way and wanted to win, but wanted to win because we had the best kids that wound up coming to Hayes, and he coached them. It's my distinct privilege to welcome Coach Tom Murray to the podium. Okay.
I don't know if you were that happy years ago when I gave you the keys and cut you, but
This is for the TV. That's the house mic. Sorry about that.
I'm standing here today. I'm very fortunate. I'm a result of Catholic school coaches and teachers. My father died when I was 11 years old. My mother raised myself and my 2 younger sisters. She was a tough old Irish girl. Took the 4 bus down to the 4 train and came down to Mazzoletti's at 40 Pine. And she hung in there through hell and high water. Something happened at the first parents' night when I was at Iona Prep, and she met Mr. Joel Lamus, my history teacher, the varsity baseball coach, the athletic director, and he was also a guy that played 1 year with the Steelers as an offensive lineman, so you know what the hell I'm talking about, what type of person he was. Well, the next day at class, at the end of class, he told me, you're the new varsity baseball manager. I was 13 years old. I wasn't talking back to him at all. And that started my career. First it was baseball, then basketball, and in senior year football, and I learned how to screw on those mud cleats, what are definitely illegal today, so the guys didn't get their knees caught in the grass. At Iona, I came across Fritz Massman. He was the school trainer and the college trainer, and he kept me busy there. He went on to a great career himself. He spent 20 years with the Nets. God bless Fritz, just a wonderful man. So he kept me occupied and, once again, kept me out of trouble. Upon graduating from the prep, the brothers were able to get rid of me and push me through. I went to Iona College, and I managed basketball, freshman and varsity. But after the first year, they thought it would be best if I no longer stayed in that position, as it affected my GPO. So with my free time, I started coaching, and I coached at St. Barnabas. And I had some kids that could play basketball. Jeff Cronin went on to start at the Mount. Frankie McLaughlin went on to start at Fordham Prep and later at the college. So I was very successful. I started to think of what I was going to do to beat the system. You know, the postal guys, they worked from 6 to 2, and I would be free at 2 o'clock to coach. But then Jack Donahue from my parish, a successful coach himself at Tolentine and later at Power, he got in my ear and preached to me and hounded me on the value if I could get my college degree, I could end up teaching and coaching at the high school level. So I went to the Catholic New Yorker and I found St. Mary's of the Plains in Dodge City, Kansas. And run by the Sisters of St. Joseph's, 450 students, good football program, good basketball program. Our center played 9 years in the ABA, and for you old timers, there was a guy by the name of Bobby McLaughlin. He was in Smith and Street to be starting for LSU, but he was in the back court at St. Mary's of the Plains. So I don't know how legal we are now that I know what rules and regulations are. But I followed Jack's advice and went out to St. Mary's. Before my second year of school, I married my sweetheart of 62 years, Mary, and she came along with me. She came along with me, and just as luck has it, the president of the college needed a secretary. And Mary ended up being the secretary, and I ended up going to school free, getting a better deal there than I was getting for basketball. I played ball, and I worked in a local magazine distributor at night. When we came home from St. Mary's, I came home with that piece of paper. And that summer, we had our first child, Mary Beth. And Mary started her new career that went 15 years, raising our 4 children. It was a tremendous sacrifice, and for you guys know how important it is that your wife tolerates you when you're in coaching. And God bless her. I always told her she gets a chance to get a better spot in heaven, so there's nothing better than that. After 15 years of a housewife, Mary started working as an attendance clerk at Mount St. Michael's, where she would give out late slips to the kids that were late. Of course, my own sons would visit their mother on the way in and get their late slips too. But after that, she decided she wanted to get her degree, so she started college at the age of 45. She was a little different in school than me. She got 1B in the 4 years. The rest were A's, and she was magna cum laude. She was a student of the game. She taught kindergarten for 21 years in the Bronx, and she really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it too, because she prepared about 2 hours a night at the dining room table, and I had the television to watch another game. So that's how life goes on. It became then time for me to think of getting a job. And once again, Harry Beale, a Catholic high school referee and an educator in the public school system, had friends at Stebenak. So he made arrangements for me to go up and see Father O'Keefe at Stebenak, and then Monsignor Fitzgerald. So they hired me to teach history, and they started a new course in Asian studies, so you stayed 1 page ahead of the kids. And then I also did freshman English. When I moved to the main building, I went completely into the history department, and I coached JV football, JV basketball, and I was a varsity assistant. We were very fortunate there. We had some good players. Frank Magaletta went on to a fine career at Fairfield, and Artie White went on to a better career at Georgetown. The Hayes job opened up. And little did I know it, actually looking back on it, that was an inside job. From one preschool to another preschool. The head of my department at Stebenak, Father Fitz, was formerly at Hayes. They moved him from Hayes to Stebenak when Stebenak opened. He was a classmate, a roommate of Monsignor Peters in the seminary. Monsignor Peters was hiring the new basketball coach at Cardinal Hayes High School. Why was the moderator of athletics hiring me? Because the principal, Father Pavis, a tremendous sportsman, had hired Nick Workman to come and coach the basketball team. But after Nick's first year, he went back to the Celtics to try out again, and Hayes had an interim coach for the year, and they went 1-17. So it was a nice job to walk into. At Hayes, there was tremendous support from the principal to the dean of discipline, Monsignor McCormick. The school, he had control of everything. There was no fooling around. I had the athletic department. Mr. Gallagher was the athletic director. He was a former coach. Joe Tricario was a great guy. He was the assistant AD. He was a successful football coach. And then I also leaned on Mr. Lesser and the guidance department because they could tell me down the road if a kid could do the work at the colleges, because you can never really believe the college coaches when they were going to tell you, we'll get them the help and they'll get through. So I counted on the guidance department to help me out. Well, as we moved along at Hayes, I was very fortunate. In the 70s and 80s, I had a bunch of D1 players. In the college, going into the college level, I had Black, who was successful at Carolina, Walker, who was successful at Xavier, Giscombe, who was successful at Connecticut, and Alvin Lott, who's just passed away, who was successful at Bonaventure. I had probably over about 20-something scholarships. But there was another more important group, and they were the kids that had a desire to play basketball. They had grades, and they had the financial need. And that's where Tom Komchowski came involved. The way he got the kids' names out on his service, but his relationship with coaches, that was some source for a Division III guy that wanted to work, to come in and take advantage and get the kids on a good financial aid package. Now, it's mentioned about me in the booklet there that we also had an outstanding player by the name of Jamal Mashburn. I don't take any credit for pushing Jamal along. The first 2 years, I pushed the wrong buttons. 6'5" coming in and shooting the ball from the outside, I was a little old-fashioned. Big guys should get under the basket. But in the last month of his senior year, I pushed another button. It said, let him go. And I let him go, and he took his friends on a trip. They beat Laughlin, a good Tolentine team, and O'Hallows for the city championship. I give all credit, though, to Rick Pitino and his staff at Kentucky. And if you saw St. John's play last night, you know what the hell I'm talking about, because he motivates those kids, and I'm sure he's responsible for motivating John. But Tom Komchowski, what he did for all of us coaches in the Catholic League, in the PSAL, any place there was a game of basketball, he had his pad around. And he would help kids after kids after kids. And when I look at it and I say to myself, well, when he got up above and St. Peter's greeted him, he said, well done, my kind and faithful servant. And what do we say down here to Tom? May you rest in peace, amen. God bless you, and thanks for this opportunity to think of the people that helped me and to say thank you to Tom Komchowski. Thank you.
Once again, that's our Lifetime Achievement Award winner 2026, the Cardinal Hayes legend, Coach Tom Murray. Great job, Tom. Man, I was hanging on every word. Those stories, only just the beginning, I'm sure. Just Tom Murray, full of so much knowledge and very deserving of our Lifetime Achievement Award here today. Okay, this time I'm going to ask the busiest guy in the room, Joe Dunleavy, to come back up here and introduce our Spirit of the Game Award winner, Joe Dunleavy.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. The second award today goes to a very good friend of Tom's, who is a lot like Tom. He spent his life, most of his life, as Tom did, helping and being of service to others. Jim had a career professionally for the probation department, the U.S. Probation Department, where he helped a number of people that way that found their way back to being part of our society. And if you are from Long Island, then his name, you don't need an introduction. He has done so much for so many people through the sport of basketball, just as Tom did, okay? and helped young people, A, be involved in the game of basketball and help many of them advance their career. He founded what's now known as the New York Lightning. It started as the Long Island Lightning, and it grew to be one of the biggest and most successful and most popular AAU programs, not in New York, but in the country. Okay? He also, I'm losing my train of thought here, I'm sorry, folks. There's one other thing, Coach, that I'm sorry, I screwed up. I don't have it right. A dear friend of Tom's, a winner in every aspect of what we want in basketball, dear friend of this foundation, and the recipient this year of the Spirit of the Game. Please welcome Jim Fox.
I'm incredibly moved by being here today. I worked on this. Barry called me earlier in the week, and he said, you know, we'd like to honor you. I said, me? And I thank you. I thank the foundation. I thank you principally because to put me in the same name as Tom Konchowski is incredibly moving to me. And I thank you for that. I just have a couple of comments. I want to share a couple of stories. I'm a storyteller. Not as good a storyteller as some people here, but first of all, before I do anything, I want to thank my family for being here. My wife, who, she's amazing. By the way, she's a former Catholic school principal, elementary. You know what they're like. My grandchildren call her Hammer. That's true. And, but she has put up with my first life in law enforcement, my first career in law enforcement. I didn't really help too many people. My job was to put them back in prison. And, you know, people were a threat to other people. And I worked a lot of hours, and she raised 3 tremendous kids. And greatest gift of my life. I also have my son here, who has his own history in basketball. He was a Division I coach for 19 years. He started as a third assistant, worked all the way up to head coach. He worked under the legend Bob McKillop, who's a New York guy. And I don't think I've met too many better people than Bob McKillop, and he taught my son. And now I have the privilege, the honor, the blessing from God that he's my partner, somebody I love, somebody who I can trust, and somebody who's much smarter than me. It's true. So we work it together, and I got more to say about that in a minute or two. So Tom Konchowski, I mean, I don't have to repeat what's being said here. What an amazing human being. Yes, I agree with the saint stuff. And if somebody disagrees with that, they're wrong. He was a saint on earth. So I got some stories. I got 2 stories. Tom, I run AAU in New York. I know we take a lot of beef and, you know, AAU this, AAU that. But I don't care about that. Tom didn't care about it. Tom would come out. We had this thing in AAU. Championship Monday, every Memorial Day. Tom would come out. He'd come early and stay until it was over. And Tom would, I don't think I ever saw Tom sit, by the way. He would stand between the courts. I ran Island Garden at the time. And Tom would sit there. And there would be literally tons of kids in and out. And always the air conditioner broke down about 1 o'clock. It got really hot in there, really smelly. Never bothered Tom, never bothered the kids. I used to go up to each team that played in this championship game, whatever age group they were, whatever level they were. I said, you know, anybody in New York basketball played here in Championship Monday. And Tom would be there. Tom would be like the focal point, the light. Everybody was so moved because Tom Konchowski was there. More importantly than that, I watched Tom do his work and all those notes you talked about. I watched all of that. But I also watched Tom greet every player, whether they were a superstar, whether they weren't a superstar. He greeted every coach. He greeted every
every parent that came up to him. He greeted every referee. And he, yes, the famous handshake. We've all had it. And he gave, and that look you on in the eye. And Tom, it wasn't a gesture. It wasn't a fake. It was his soul coming out and respecting other people and loving the game of basketball. That's what they shared. So, and with all of that, Tom would stay. And I give him a hot dog. He always wanted to pay. No, Tom, you can't pay. And we get him a hot dog. And then at the end of the day, it was our custom that I would drive him to the train station in Hempstead. I said, Tom, let me drive you home. No. I mean, I would have loved to spend a half hour in a car with Tom. But no, I had to drive him. Of course, I respected it. And when we drove that less than 10 minutes from the Island Garden to Hempstead Station, we talked about the game of basketball, we talked about family, and we talked about how important basketball was to kids. And that was my honor every year. And it was also my mandate to make sure I did as good a job as possible. Which brings me to my next story. Tom would come in, and he would come into the Island Garden, and he would say, I love this place because everybody's respected here. And he said, you know what this place stands for? Ball for all. Ball for all. It doesn't matter how much money you have or you didn't have. It didn't matter your race, your ethnic origin, nothing. It only mattered that basketball was all about bringing people together. And that was Tom Konchowski, bringing people together. And that was my mandate every day. And I get a lot of complaints, trust me. You want to follow me one day soon? But not Tom. And so my mind is always respect. And that was what Tom taught me for my whole life, okay? And that's it. And I have one last thing to say, is that we're in the midst of building another facility, well, about to build another. Don't even ask me about that. But we're close. I'm never giving up. We're very close. And when we build that facility on Long Island, there's going to be, I told Slice, I said, there's going to be a part of that facility that's going to be dedicated to Tom Konchowski. Because I want what Tom brought to the game to get to every kid that walks in that facility for years, decades, and I hope centuries. And we can pass on, when we're all gone, that memorial of Tom and what he stood for will live in our new facility out there. Say a prayer that we get it. We're close. We're in the, what do they call it, the red zone in football? Red zone. We're not in the end zone yet, but we're there. And the one thing also that motivates me, I've had the blessing, because remember, Tom is in the back of my head. Respect, love of the game, it's for everybody. And I've been tasked with renewing the AAU nationally. My wife's not real favor of this thing, but because she says, are you crazy at this point in your life? But I'm doing it, and I have fortunate, I have a son that's now the director of training for all AAU, and because we want to train kids. And you know what, we just want the kids to love the game as Tom loved the game. And I thank God for Tom Konchowski in my life. And I want to pass this on to every kid. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your 2026 Tom Konchowski Foundation Spirit of the Game Award winner, Mr. Jim Fox. And, you know, AAU National Advisor, I mean, most of you know the power and influence that organization holds, and has really been a pipeline for so much talent, not only here in New York, but all over the country. Jim, thanks so much for your great words and receiving the Spirit of the Game Award. All right, moving on. 2 more awards to give out, everybody. You've been terrific. Everyone's doing okay. Anyone need a drink? Everyone's all right? Okay, good. Good stuff. Good talk. Let's move on. Now introducing this guy, Mr. Big Shot, here in the room today. Got a couple of teams to a lot of high places, including a Sweet 16, former coach of Providence, Xavier and the University of Virginia. Let's give it up for the current CBS Sports Studio analyst, the legend himself, Mr. Pete Gillen. How was that for an introduction, sir?
Thank you, John. Thank you. I owe John a lot of money for that introduction, I mean, for sure. First of all, I'd like to thank Mike Weinstein, who just stepped out for a second, for hosting this event. I mean, can you imagine have a place like this, all right? The food that we had, all right? Nothing, nada. His generosity, nothing. So not many people would be that generous year after year to have a place, beautiful place in New York City, the heart of New York, right? Terrific food, great venue. So let's have a little hand for Michael Weinstein, who just stepped out for a second. Next, I'd like to thank the people, the heart and soul of the foundation. If I miss somebody, please forgive me. But Barry Rawson, Joe Dunleavy, okay, and Ed Hall for putting this affair together every year. Thank you. A little hand for them. And I'd like to congratulate the honorees, Jerry Quinn, a legend, St. Thomas More in Connecticut, over 1,200 victories, put tons of young men into scholarships. He's done an unbelievable job. Mike Murray was up here for a while. Cardinal Hayes, another legend. Okay, Dick Hoops Weiss, who we're going to talk about briefly, introduce him, and Jim Fox. So those are the character, integrity, morality, which we need a lot more of in today's society. A little hand for the group of the four that are being honored by the Tom Konchowski Foundation. I got a limit. I only have 3 minutes, so I got to talk fast. I'm from Brooklyn, so I use my hands a lot. But one brief story about Tom Murray, if I may. I was coaching a high school coach in Brooklyn, New York, and then I got into college. And I used to, was at Villanova, used to stop by and see Tom at Cardinal Hayes, the varsity coach there. And he didn't have players we were recruiting, but Mike, I just gave you some props. You know, we got it on film. Don't worry, we got it. But we you know, knew Tom a little bit, stopped by, and didn't have a play we were recruiting at Villanova or Notre Dame, all right, but we come over. So I became a head coach at Xavier in Cincinnati, Ohio, 1985. So I come up and I come say, hello, Tom, just want to say, I know you don't have any plays. No, Pete, we might have a player. He said, I said, really? He said, yeah, he didn't play last year. He was a junior. We had good players, but we got a guy. He's 5'10", 5'11", all right? He's a point guard. He plays for the New York City Gauchos. Go watch him play during the summer. So I went to play. Go, oh, my God, this guy's terrific. I said, Tom, how many scholarships he got? He says, he's got one, UTEP, Texas El Paso. You know, the family member knew Tiny Archibald, who was from New York City, but they haven't really followed through. All right? I said, well, we're going to give him a scholarship. Well, he hasn't made the board yet. You know, he's not exactly, you know, a great student, a decent student, but I said, hey, we're going to take him anyway. So we took him. He got the boards. He passed the test. Okay, so we're playing NCAA tournament. He's a sophomore. Playing against Georgetown. John Thompson, okay? They had Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, a bunch of great guards. We're playing them, all right? I say, Jamal, you know, just don't throw the ball into the band. Okay, boom. He goes through their press, plays great, scores 19 points, 9 assists. We beat Georgetown. Now, Xavier, eggs over lightly. Xavier, we beat Georgetown with Thompson, okay? But he was a great player, and Tom had countless plays. Jamal Mashburn, we talked about, a great player at Kentucky and NBA. And I still keep in touch with Jamal. He lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, where Xavier is, where he played at Xavier for us. So Tom is all about character, integrity, morality. It's what it's all about. We need more of that in today's society today. One more hand for Tom Murray, who helped countless people. And last thing before I get to Dick Hoops, you know, when Digger Phelps lost an assistant at Notre Dame, he called Tom Konchowski and others, who do you recommend? So Tom Konchowski was kind enough, unbeknownst to me, to recommend me. Digger says, who the hell is that guy? I never heard of him. He's stiff. So Digger Phelps calls me on the phone. He says, Pete, I want to offer you a job at Notre Dame. I said, I didn't know one was open. He says, well, yeah. It got recommended by a couple of people. Tom Konchowski's one of them. So I said, well, Dick, I'd like to at least come out and visit Notre Dame just to make sure you're not going over to visit the Pope or going to become an ambassador to Europe or something. You know what I mean? Dick was all over the place, like scrambled eggs. So I said, you know, so he offered me the job. So without Tom Konchowski, I wouldn't have got a head assistant coach at Notre Dame. Was there for 5 years. Matty Cullen took my job afterwards when I went. Little hand, Matty, stand up, man. Stand up, Matty. AD. But without Tom, I'd be, you know, pumping gas somewhere in Corona, Queens. So I want to thank Tom. But person I like to introduce now, and once again, congratulate all the honorees, but Dick Hoop Weiss, I was assistant at Villanova for Rolly Massimino. That was another tough interview. I went to interview with Rolly, and I talked to him, and he's like snoring after a while. I said, I worked at the 5-star camp. I was at VMI. We did pretty well. We went to the Sweet 16 at VMI. All right, boop, boop, boop. I have a couple good players. He's yawning, he's burping. I said, well, besides, I said, my wife is 100% Italian. Her dad was born in Sicily. Yeah? All right, you're in. So you got to do what you got to do. I'm from Brooklyn, so, you know, I mean, my mentors in Brooklyn were Three Fingered Willie, Batman, Bullhead, Ice, and Slice. Now, they were the cheerleaders. The guys even worse than them. So I got the job at Villanova. You got to do what you got to do. But Rolly was a great coach, and Digger was another. I was fortunate to have some great people. But a gentleman I met in Philly when I was assistant at Villanova was Dick Hoops Weiss, who was a legend in Philadelphia. Went to every big game, every high school game, college games. Was a legend. He's a great writer, wrote for the New York Daily News, the Philadelphia Daily News, all right, for a long, long time. He's in a bunch of Hall of Fames, all right? He's Kurt Gowdy, prestigious Media Award, which is the Naismith Hall of Fame. The highest you can get, the Naismith Hall of Fame has the Kurt Gowdy, all right, award, and Dick Hoops Weiss got it. But he loves the game. He and Tom Konchowski were very, very close. Any big game he was at, he covered many, many Final Fours. He's one of the most respected writers, sports figures in all of college basketball. He's a great guy, a great person, a great writer. I want to introduce the Volumes of the Game Award, all right, for Dick Hoops Weiss. Dick, come on up, please.
All right, thanks, Pete. We all know you're going to heaven for working with Rolly over at Villanova. That's totally understandable. Before I get started, I'd like to give a shout out to my wife, Joni, who's hung in there with me, and Pat Plunkett, a longtime friend who's been kind enough to give us a lift up here today. I'd also like to congratulate the other winners, Jim Fox, Tom Murray, Jerry Quinn, well-deserved awards. I'd like to say thank you to the Konchowski Federation for all the things that they've done to help grow the game and help make life better for a number of children in high school. And finally, I'd like to thank everybody that is associated with New York basketball. I was lucky enough to experience it for 21 years when I worked for the New York Daily News. It was a privilege. It was one of the great things I've ever done in my life. Thank you so much to everybody. You know, when Barry and Steve Konchowski first called me and told me about this award, I was immediately humbled. A little surprised, but immediately humbled, because being linked with Tom Konchowski is one of the greatest honors you can have. Tom is easily the best talent evaluator that I've ever been associated with, and maybe the last honest man in the gym in a changing world. I worked for over 45 years at newspapers, and then for a number of other places since then. This is, believe it or not, my 54th Final Four. When I first started in the business, the most important thing to me was meeting coaches. The best place to do it at the time was 5-star camp. Every year I would get in my car in Philadelphia, drive up the Northeast Extension to Honesdale just to go to that camp, because I knew the best players, the best coaches, and the best teaching were going on at that location. Honesdale, outdoors, it was a completely different world for me. Kids would play outdoors. Howard Garfinkel had enormous influence over the sport at that time, but I had one problem. Howard was really stubborn. He refused to ever put the names on the back of the jersey. So I'm up there, I'm saying, who are these kids who are playing in the second and fourth quarter? That's when Tom Kinchowski became the most important person in my life because he knew everybody. Tom's the first person I ever knew that had a true photographic memory. He not only remembered when he first saw a player play, he remembered the points he scored, and he remembered his family members. He was unbelievable, and his assessments were always spot on. He did this thing for 4 decades. I mean, he did it when Moses was there, and Howard Garfinkel was saying, the only person I've ever met who was too good for our camp. He did it with Michael. He did it with Kenny Anderson. He scouted Chris Mullen in 7th grade. He scouted Kenny Anderson before people were saying, best point guard in the country at Malloy. He did it with Kobe. He did it with LeBron, and he was never off. But he also did it with so many kids who needed help getting scholarships. He was a godsend to so many people in this city and in North Jersey who sent kids to 5-star camp to learn and get better. I mean, the clinicians there were great, the counselors there were great, and the players learned how to play the right way. I love Tom. From the time that we met, we only got closer. When I started doing a little research, I could see why he is so beloved in New York. Grew up here, went to his first basketball game as a 6-year-old kid. His father took him to the Garden, immediately fell in love with the sport. His brother Steve was a pretty good player, went on to play in Canada, ended up coaching there, ended up working with the Canadian Olympic movement. Tom wanted to feel close to the game. They still tell stories about him following Connie Hawkins around to different pickup games just to watch him play. When he went to Malloy, he found another role model, and that was Jack Curran, who was arguably the best technical coach I've ever seen in the New York Catholic League. His kids always played the right way, and he hung in there through good years and bad years. He was a guy that you could always depend on, and I think Tom got a lot of his character traits from him. I didn't know that Tom would get into this business. He went to Fordham out of Malloy. He graduated magna cum laude. He was a teacher for 10 years, and then he realized I might be able to make a living out of Cowan evaluation. And he was right. Every coach in the country got his report. Every major coach in the country respected him. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski is the first person that will tell you, Tom Kinchowski is a saint. When I look at his work, most of it is divine, and he was absolutely right. You know, I was with Ryan Odom's dad, Dave, the other day. We were at practice in Philadelphia before the NCAA tournament game. He's the man who told me, if Tom Kinchowski says it, it's gospel. And it's true. He never made mistakes. I love going to games with him. The only problem is you could never talk to him once the game started. He would sit up at the top row of the stands. He'd pull out that yellow legal pad, and he would start taking notes. He used to have 13 categories in which he could evaluate players, and then he would come up with a number that suited their ability to play the game. Obviously, there were a number of 5-star kids, but there were a number of other kids, and he would always pick the right spot for them to play. An awful lot of players, it wasn't just a question of like trying to sell a service. It was a question of getting kids to a place where they could play and have a successful career. I mean, that's who he was. He always cared about children first. Never cared about himself. Never tried to make $1 million, but always gave back to the game. I really appreciate it. And guess what? He was never wrong. And I still tell a great story about Michael Jordan. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard it. When Michael was a sophomore in high school, he got cut from his high school team. 5'10". His brother makes the varsity, he gets cut. The next year, he grows to 6'4", makes the varsity, goes to Carolina Kids camp, and just tears it up. They still weren't sure Tom is gone up to Kutcher's to watch the All-American game with Roy Williams, the assistant coach at Carolina. Roy says, listen, I need to know about this kid. Can you talk to Howard Garfinkel about him getting a waiter's job so he can come to your camp? Tom says, okay, I will. He got him into Pit 2 and 3. He goes to the draft that year. Brendan Malone can't make it. His wife was in an automobile accident. So Tom says, I'll draft for him. Tom gets up, first draft, Greg Dreiling from Wichita State, best big man in the camp at the time. The second pick, Brendan wanted him to take a guard named Audrey Sherrod from Wichita. Tom says, no, I'm taking Michael Jordan. I saw this kid in the workout. He can do everything. Brendan gets back. He freaks out. He goes berserk. No, you can't do this to me. I'm never going to win a game. Guess what? Then they started playing. He found out very quickly who the best player in the camp was. And that is so typical of Tom. He did this thing until COVID, when he would every year he would come to Philadelphia. Twice a year for the Conshohocken tournament, which is a big spring tournament we have down there, and twice a year to a basketball junkies dinner that they hold to raise money for Coaches versus Cancer. And it was like royalty stepping up. You know, Tom never had a car, never had a cell phone, never had a computer, would take the train down. Alan Rubin, who was the leader of this basketball junkies group, would pick him up, take him to dinner, and they would treat him like the royalty that he was. He had so much respect because he could talk to anybody. I never heard him say a bad word about anybody. He was always measured. He was always thoughtful. I never heard him use a four-letter word. He was everything good about the game, and I think that's important. And it's something that I tried to follow in my own career. I think that you make friends because people trust you. When I used to go to Five Star, we used to go out after camp to a place called the Fireside. We'd sit around and talk, and these coaches knew they could trust me because I would never print anything that was said at a dinner or anything was ever said at a bar. And it's a way I built a relationship with all these coaches who at the time were young assistants and later became people like Rick Pitino and John Calipari because they knew that they could trust you. That doesn't happen very much in our business anymore. There are an awful lot of sports writers that I wouldn't necessarily even trust. But I do think that you can do this job the right way. When I went to New York, people told me two things. If you want to be successful up here, you either have to yell louder or know more. And I chose the second. I chose the second pack. I mean, I feel so blessed to have had the career that I've had, and even more blessed today because it's been linked to Tom. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for Dick Hoops Weiss, 2026 Values of the Game Award winner. And of course, we can see this guy for the next couple of weeks on CBS Sports Network, all tournament long. Pete, great introduction. Thanks so much for being here. Pete, kill it, everybody. And coming up next, folks, our final award of the day. This is the inaugural, that means what, Barry? First ever? Is that the first time? English major, Johnny F. Here at Siena College. Inaugural Jack Curran Character Award winner 2026. Joey D, who you got?
Folks, I just want to add this before we bring our well-deserving honoree up. We have a special guest here today that you've heard Hoops talk about, and all of us in this room know about Five Star Camp. You know, we all, I used to work it, we all worked it. And the co-founder of Five Star Camp is a gentleman by the name of Will Klein. He's 93 years young. And every session that I worked at camp, I would become very good friends with Mr. Klein because he always gave me an advance before I left. And when he saw me and I went up and said hello to him, he said, Dunleavy, I didn't bring my wallet today, so you're out of luck, kid. But a true visionary, as was Mr. Garfinkel, a special guest that will be at every one of these as long as he can make it. I'd like you to recognize Will Klein from 5-Star Camp. All right, Will. Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce our next and final honoree. It's fitting that I give this award to another Malloy grad. At Malloy, when you leave there, you're called a Stanner, S-T-A-N-N-E-R. I won't tell you what that means, but from one Stanner to another, it would be for me to present this award to Jerry Quinn. We both had the privilege of playing for, in my case, trying out for, the team coached by Jack Curran. And he was legendary. And Mr. Curran was a big influence on all of our lives. And if he was here today, he would say that Jeremiah was one of our better players. He was pretty good. And he was more than that. Jerry was a terrific player in school and went on to become a legendary coach at St. Thomas More up in Connecticut. Jerry sent more kids to college than President Johnson sent to Vietnam back in the day. So he's been sending kids and cranking them out year after year. A friend of Tom's. We were very close. We would go up every year. I'd drive Tom when I coached. I'd drive Tom up. We'd meet Jerry. We'd watch all his kids play, and then we'd go eat at the same Italian restaurant. Tom was a creature of habit, and that was one great habit that we had. And the last time Tom did that, I was fortunate with Slice to go up and go eat with Tom, with Jerry and Tom. So I'd like him to come up. Jerry, come on up here. The honoree of these Jack Curran Award goes to Jerry Quinn. Come on up, Jerry.
Thank you, Joe. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes? Because, thank you. About 6 months ago, I spoke at an officials banquet. And my first line was, "Can everybody hear me?" And they said yes. And I said, "You guys haven't heard a damn thing I've said for the last 35 minutes." So we have Dennis Kelly sitting here, and he's not listening to me already. He's the only NCAA guy I see in the joint, ex-ref. I always enjoy coming down to this event, and I see Matt Cullen, which I haven't seen in a while, and said, "My God, Quinny, you look the same as I saw you 20 years ago." And I just thought, man, did I look bad 20 years ago? It's like, goodness. First off, I want to congratulate Dick, Tom, and Jim. I want to thank all the people on the board. I'd like to thank my brother Andrew, my brother Stephen, my sister Mary Jo, Kelly, Steve's wife, my brother-in-law Paul, and his son Cooper for coming. And then I brought my 10-year-old grandson Jack, who's the oldest of the 11 grandkids we have, here. And the other day I mentioned that to my wife that Jack's coming. And Jude, who was adamant she wasn't coming, until I said the 10-year-old's coming. She says, "Well, I'm in." And I don't blame her for not wanting to come to these things, because she was a guidance counselor. And she'd say, "You guys, are in charge of 15 kids. I'm in charge of 300. I said, yeah, you're accurate. And I'm glad she's here. She's the best. I got an award recently at the V Foundation that Seth runs up in, Seth Greenberg, Queens guy, runs up in Connecticut. And Jude didn't come. So Seth says, where's your wife? I said, nah, she didn't make it. She said, is she okay? I said, yeah, she's fine. She's out buying burial plots for us. So she knows it's true. But just so, if anybody's curious, they are like awesome burial plots. In Oldham, Connecticut. Okay, they're really well done. Last Friday, I was driving down here, and our school, St. Thomas More, runs an event in the Big East, and I was driving with my son, Matt. And I mentioned, oh, I'm coming back, because I don't really tell a lot of people my business. Told my son, Matt, that coming back next Saturday for the Konchowski Foundation, I'm getting an award called the Jack Kern Award. And he said, wasn't that your coach in high school? I said, yeah. He says, is he still alive? I said, no, Maddie, unfortunately, he passed about 10 years ago. I do believe, though, if he was alive and he found out I'm the first recipient, it could possibly send him over the edge. Hope not. And I'll tell you why, and indulge me for a couple of minutes. I show up at Archbishop Malloy 5 feet. Puberty's about 10 years away. I make the team as a freshman. I get cut as a sophomore. Why? Not really doing my schoolwork. Hanging out with Joe Dunleavy way too much. Just not doing the right thing. And then I try out my junior year. Now, I always went to his camps. He knew I loved basketball. I tried out to my junior year, and I was the last one cut. So it's called the Jack Curran Award, but I just know him as Mr. Curran. Like, if he played for him, it was always Mr. Curran. So Mr. Curran brought me into his offices at Quinny, Jeremiah. He says, we're going to cut you. But it's okay, because we have a varsity B team for the first time this year, and I want you to run the point for that. And then, you'll probably make the team the following year. I said, well, okay, thank you, but no. And not too many people ever said no to Mr. Curran. He said, what do you mean no? I said, nah, I'd rather play CYO. And I played, I think, on 3 different CYO teams on 3 different names, which is fine, because, us Catholics, we just go to confession. So we can let it go. And I make the team my senior year. And then he would always have meetings with you. He'd say, Jerry, where do you want to go to school? I said, St. John's. And he said, well, you can't play there. I said, yeah, I can. He said, nope, you can't play there. A month later, Jerry, where do you want to go to school? You've been offered some scholarships. Oh, St. John's. He said, Jerry, now you got to understand, this goes on through August. I'm still not in school. So he says, Jerry, a guy, Bill Dietrich, who was like Coach Curran and then therefore like me, guy who did his entire career at Central Connecticut, says, you can go there. So I said, no, I'm going to St. John's. Of course I wasn't wanted. So Coach Curran and my father get together. The following day, I come home, and there's a gentleman from the Marines sitting in my living room. And my father introduces me. He leaves. He says, well, Jerry, you'll go to Central Connecticut, or you'll go to the Marines. Now, I'm a kid with a Malloy degree. I went to Central Connecticut. I didn't go to the Marines. But what was amazing about Coach Curran, I honestly was a pain in the neck. Coach Dietrich from Central Connecticut, every other week would say, hey, Coach Curran called to see how you're doing. Coach Curran called to see how you're doing. It's like, wow, me, a guy who was supposed to be at St. John's. I didn't know he knew Central Connecticut's number. I knew he and Carter Second were buddies. But he always called. And I think, the thing I really, really learned from him, the first game I ever played, I got taken out of right away. And I asked the guy, why'd I get taken out? He says, your shirt's untucked. I said, well, that's a dumb reason. But it was his reason. He was a rules follower. So now, when I take kids out of the game because their shirts are untucked, I kind of just think back of like, oh yeah, I learned from that guy. And I think a good high school coach doesn't have to be liked by his players when they play for him. I think like 10, 15 years later, when that player thinks back and says, man, I like that guy. Because he taught me how to say, he never had a problem saying no, which I've gotten very good at. Coach Curran didn't. My college coach didn't. You know, they always did what they thought was best for kids, and honestly, they were right. So I was very fortunate to have him. Now, a little thing on Tom. I've heard everybody speak so well of him, and I got some trash. So I asked Tom, I said, Tom, like, what's the worst thing that you ever did? And he stopped for a second. He said, well, there was a fire alarm that went off at Malloy. And instead of going outside, I snuck into the library and read. And I said, well, Tom, that's immortal. He said, Tom would say, no, Jerry, it's a venial. I said, Tom, is there anything else? He said, well, yes, there is something I remember that I did. I said, okay, what was that? He said, well, I rated you a three player and you were only a 2+. So I loved his sense of humor. But as was mentioned, Tom was a man of, he had a schedule. And my schedule was he would come up the second Tuesday in October. He and I would talk every Tuesday during the season. So our schedule, I'd talk to him on Tuesdays. He'd come up that second Tuesday. He'd come to our nationals. He'd stay at our house for our tournament. And Joe alluded to the meal. So he just wanted like a New York kind of restaurant. So there was a place in New London called Tony D's. So it had ended up becoming an event. Like coaches would come because Tom was there. And if you went to dinner with Tom, you had to have the appetizers and the soup and the salad. It was the whole event. So there was a guy, Max Good, who was a legendary coach, great coach. He would say, you know, Tom, every time I'm with you, I feel cleansed. And I would look at Max and say, well, you should hang out with him every day. You need a lot of cleansing. But we would be at this dinner, Max was at this dinner, and Tom got up and goes to the bathroom. So Max just turns to me and says, how did Tom get the name The Glider? I said, oh, Max, I can't tell you. He said, no. How did he get the name The Glider? I said, do you promise it'll be a secret? He said, yes. I said, okay. I said, in high school, Tom Konchowski was the biggest pot smoker that there ever was. Now, if you know Tom, no. So Tom comes back, and just as he comes back, his lobster bisque is put in front of him. And Max, who I knew couldn't keep a secret, as soon as he comes in, Tom takes the thing. Max looks at Tom and says, Tom, Jerry said you got the name The Glider because you're a big pot smoker. Well, it was like Linda Blair. The soup is flying all over the table. I immediately turned to Max. I knew you couldn't keep a secret. You were paying this tab. But what was great is like Tom would come up for the following years, and I would say, Tom, are you coming up? And Tom's line would be, yes, Jerry, and I'm bringing the good stuff. So it's amazing. I'm going to finish up, and I'm going to give these numbers. 718-897-5017. Anybody knows Tom, that's his phone number. Now, I'm really not a socially intelligent guy with Instagram and video, but I send Tom a message almost every other day. Because on Instagram, they run all these out-of-bounds plays, side out-of-bounds plays, philosophy plays. I don't know how to send them to myself. So I send them to Tom. And on a daily, honestly, my wife will attest, I'm downstairs and listen, what are you doing? I'm saving these things. I've never told anybody this till right now. That in Tom's phone, I probably have about 40 or 50 plays or comments from people. But the oddity is, I put in 60. He probably didn't like 10 of them and got rid of them. I'm kidding. First off, I am honored, I am humbled. This is a fabulous organization. I did forget to thank one person who was at our table, my assistant, Dan Murphy, who came. Murph's been with us 4 years, and before that, he was fortunate enough to work with Coach Hurley. And if anybody wants to talk to him about it, if he wants a ride home, you can ask him who's a better coach. And if he wants a ride home, I think he knows what the answer should be. Hey, first again, thanks again. Joey D, thanks for the invitation. I totally appreciate it. Bye now. Thank you, Coach. Okay.
Once again, everybody, the 2026 inaugural Jack Curran Character Award winner from St. Thomas More Prep School, Jerry Quinn. Great job, Jerry. That is our last award of the night. Where's Barry? You know, I mean, without you, none of this is possible. Barry Slice Rorson, everybody. Barry, anything you want to say? A lot of humility from Barry tonight. And want to thank everybody for coming out. I don't know if you saw that little bird that came in here flying around, making some noise, and then just mysteriously disappeared. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That could have been Tom giving us all a little bit of a message. Hey, on behalf of Barry Rorson, the entire board, Joe Dunleavy, I'm John Heffernan, everybody. 2026 Tom Konchowski Foundation Midtown Madness. It's a wrap. Don't forget your t-shirt on the way out. And let me give a heads up to our varsity viewers from all over the world. We want to thank Varsity Media for covering our live stream here today. Enjoy the rest of the March Madness. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out. We'll see you next year.
Thank you, sir. This was fun. Thank you. All right, you ready? Hey, man, thanks a lot. It's nice meeting you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it'll be fun.